Alright, so I just moved into a new place. It's nothing crazy, but rent is decent, and I have a whole basement where I can build out a workshop, which totally beats like the glorified closet I was working in when I moved back home with my parents after college. I don't have great before pictures, but like this is one side of the room. It's kind of giving like old granny vibes. This is the other side. This is right when I got my HTC. It was like the first thing I did when I moved in here. I wasn't liking the teal, so I put this like black wallpaper up. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's got this like cool like rubber tire tread pattern. I like it. And the last thing before you're up to speed is I moved the fridge, my dryer, that mini bookshelf up against the wall closest to the door, and I also got some boxes to serve as like makeshift filament dry boxes. So I'm in the process of relocating all my stuff from home. So I'm gonna finish giving this place a facelift, hopefully for under like $100, and I'm also gonna buy some new stuff to build out what I see as like an ideal workshop within reasonable economic standards. So to get into it, I had some wallpaper left over, so I thought I would add it to the fridge to add some uniformity to the room. I have a work table getting delivered today, so I got rid of this old rug. It's not really my vibe anyways, to make some room for it. Yeah, this is my table. I absolutely love Gladiator products. I think they're awesome, but they are really heavy, so getting this down the stairs by myself was not easy, and I wouldn't recommend doing it in Birkenstocks. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get this in the room. I'll get it all opened up, and I'm just gonna loosely follow the directions and get this thing built. So the table's done. It looks great. Now that I have a temporary work surface for my computer, I can address this desk, which is in pretty tired shape. Looks like basically like knockoff IKEA furniture. So I'm gonna get this disassembled, and outside where I'm planning on sanding it, priming it, and repainting it. And there goes my 3D printed iPhone camera mount. Quick little patch job, and good as new. Personally, I can't even tell anything happened in the first place. So I got it all sanded. Now I'm gonna prime it. I'm gonna do 2 coats of primer, sanding in between, and then 2 coats of white paint. But it's getting dark, so I'm not gonna film the rest of this. You guys get the picture. While I'm doing that, I have to use a power strip to get power to where my desk is located, and I hate it when these things are just like lying on the ground. You could trip on them, they look ugly. So I'm gonna mount it on the wall before I put my Gladiator table where it's gonna go. So I got the cord mounted about halfway down the wall, enough to clear where the table is going to sit. And I'm just going to make sure that it's spaced equally within that little shallow alcove. And it's also got leveling feet, so I'm also going to level a table. But while I was doing that, I did notice that like all these walls are like not straight, and they're also slanted. So I'm gonna print out some shims that like lock it in the table and make sure the table sits off the wall uniformly. It's just like a weird OCD thing I have. And I made these shims with heat set inserts in mind because I'm planning on screwing like a side plate onto them and like made in like a metallic plastic. I think it'll give it like a pretty cool utilitarian look. So pretty soon after I got here, I picked up these LED panel lights made by Govee. They have smart home functionality. I'm planning on getting some automation going in this basement, so I thought I would also pick up these strip lights. These are cool because they have diffusers and like physical rails, so it's not just like an adhesive, like naked LED strip on your wall. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these installed. So when mounting these, you're supposed to start with the corners, but like I said earlier, none of my walls are straight, so the rail just fits horribly. So I'm gonna 3D print some inserts to get a better fitment. And now that I have the corner with a good fitment, I can get the rest of the rails on this part of the wall. And things were going too smoothly for a few whole seconds, because now I have to deal with this like weird alcove indentation. So now that I have a good fitment for the rails, I actually have to go and cut the corner LED diffusers now because they don't fit currently. So due to some of the size constraints on the LED diffuser corners, I actually had to change up that rail design I made. Yeah, you know, get a consumer LED kit, it'll be fun, you know, it'll take 20 minutes. It's taking like a whole afternoon. So I've got all the rails up except for one, so now I'm going to put the lights on, and this will tell me how long the last rail needs to be, but from some like rough calculations, like I think this one strip is going to be like almost a perfect fit. So this is what I'm left with. The strip is literally almost to the wall. And these light bars have these end caps that sit over the diffuser. And they're different sizes. So I'm going to do some measurements and make sure that the end of the LED on either side is spaced equally to the end of the end cap. And that way I can kind of get a cool effect where like the light is like slightly dimming towards the end, and it also lets me maximize the wall space that covers. So now that that's done, I can finally start putting the diffusers on and get like a real feel for how this setup is going to look, which is exciting. Alright, so with all the diffusers on, I'm going to turn off the lights and let's check out, you know, the massive amounts of ambiance we now have in the room. It looks pretty good. It fits well. Like I said, it's almost a perfect fit, and it matches my other lights. And I can get these all hooked up through like my Apple Home like automation app, so that's pretty cool. The one thing I still need to do is cut a little piece of diffuser for that corner, but I'm going to wait till I have my Dremel from home because sawing these things is not fun. So now we're going to tackle the metal pegboard from Wall Control that just got delivered because it's been cluttering up my space, and some organization in here would be much appreciated. These pegboards are going to be centered above my table, so I started by taking the dimensions of one and doing some math for what 4 would look like on that wall, and I'm basically going to drill one hole, screw the pegboard in, so I can mark the rest of the holes for that one pegboard, And then once that pegboard's installed, I'm going to use it as a reference to put the next pegboard on the wall, and so on until I have all 4 on the wall. So the first pegboard's up, it looks good, it's level. I'm gonna put the other 3 up off camera because they're kind of heavy to handle by yourself. So here they all are. I like them. I think the orange does a good job of kind of breaking up the black wall and livening up the space. By now my desk has had ample time to dry and it came out pretty nice. So we're gonna get it back downstairs and put it back together. So with my desk back to where it's going to live, I can now figure out how I want to position the outlets of the power strip so they're easily accessible and spaced out well. So I'm going to finish mounting this on the wall right now. And looking at it on the wall, I actually decided to double up on the 3D printed fasteners just to make the cord a little bit more orderly. Since I'm already in the cable management mood, I thought I would next address the Govee light strip that I just mounted onto the wall. I'm going to come back to this later and get the power brick off the floor when I get one of my other power strips from home, but right now I'm going to return to the desk because just like my workbench, it doesn't sit uniformly in this corner because the walls are terrible. So I'm going to make some more shims that match the ones I previously made. These shims attach to the front right and the back left of the desk, and I don't have all my tools yet, so I have to use a hex wrench and pliers to get them to fully seat flush. But I'm hoping pretty soon my life is going to get much easier when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it looks pretty good. My OCD isn't like spiking every time I look at the desk, so that's a plus. I have a facade planned for the front of the desk, but for now I'm going to divert my attention to this mini bookshelf, just so I can get everything kind of fixed up into acceptable condition as fast as possible. So right now I'm going to get everything moved off of it and see what the damage is. So the cardboard bag in this bookshelf is like 1 or 2 nails away from falling off, and the thing's gonna like literally topple over if you look at it wrong, so we're gonna address this. I don't have a hammer right now, so I literally had to pry these nails out, but I eventually got the back off, and we're gonna take it outside, and the plan is to repair the holes with epoxy and get it sanded so I can put some of that wallpaper on it and make it look a little bit more refined. While that's drying, I prepared some cable covers for the TV cable so I don't see that ugly wire going down the wall. So that looks way better. The bookshelf will hide the outlet and where everything plugs in the power strip. So now I'm going to address the fridge, and as you can see, that wall is pretty slanted. So I'm going to use some good old shims to take care of that and like hide that gap. So I'm gonna put the fridge back. The shim looks good, fits well. So it's a pretty precise fit, so I'm happy with it. Yeah, some people might think it's a little goofy. I don't know. I like it. I think it provides like a little bit of continuity and like thoughtfulness to the room that kind of looked a little bit like cobbled together. So I'm happy with it. And we're gonna go back to the bookshelf now. So despite numerous guarantees by multiple weather apps that it wasn't gonna rain overnight, it did. So yeah, this thing is like cooked. It's like absolutely. It was just cardboard. It's like absolutely toast. So yeah, we're going to Plan B because this thing isn't gonna work. And you can probably guess, Plan B is spending more money on plastic than the bookshelf is worth to make a new like backsplash for it. So the bookshelf backing came out pretty decent. This is the type of plastic I'm going to use for the side plates of my shims. It's PLA metal from Bamboo Lab. It's got kind of like a metallic-y look. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but we're going to get it screwed on to the bookshelf now. It should also help with the rigidity of the structure because I made cutouts for the shelves. So things should hopefully be a little bit more sturdy. And I couldn't help myself, so I made some non-slip feet for the bookshelf. It's made out of TPU 95A for the pads and PETG for like the structure. And I used beam interlocking for the first time, and I'm actually really happy with the result. These things aren't gonna budge. They're stuck together for sure. So I'm gonna get these feet installed. I'm also gonna wipe down the back with some isopropyl alcohol when I get my hands on some to remove that glue residue. But for now, it's gonna go back to where it lives. So I'm liking how it looks. I made a hole in the bottom right corner for the router cable just to route through. And now I'm going to put on some wallpaper to hide those panel gaps on each of those 3 rows. And with the shelves in, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I think it ties it in the room much better. It looks a little bit like, I don't know, higher quality than just having like a cardboard back. Feet are really nice, it doesn't slide around, and it's also like much more sturdy. Like I could probably even like sit on it and be fine. So yeah, overall pretty happy with it. And right as I was finishing up the bookshelf, my stuff finally arrived via U-Haul trailer. So I think I'm gonna end the video here. I gotta put all this in the basement now, so I'm gonna make a second part, which I'm thinking will be a tad more exciting, putting the finishing touches on everything, getting all my equipment. So I'm gonna make a partial reveal right now. I'm just gonna get the room cleaned up, and yeah, I'll show you what I've done so far. So here's the room. I'm liking how it looks. Shim for the fridge, wallpaper on the fridge. I'm gonna 3D print a facade that matches the backsplash, that mini bookshelf later. Bookshelf's been rebuilt. TV cables hidden. Govee lights. There's my H2C. New pegboard. New table. Besides like the new furniture I bought, I will presumably leave with. I probably spent around $130. It was like $60 for the wallpaper, $30 for the paint, and like some, I don't know, like $30-40 for like plastic. But yeah, like all my work surfaces are shimmed. Everything's very nice and uniform off the wall. Power cord's mounted so I don't catch it when I roll around. The room is much brighter, which is helpful. I'm getting some auxiliary lights, but the lighting in here isn't great. Yeah, there's my cable management for the light strip. But overall, like, I think I've seen a lot of, pretty satisfactory progress for like the amount of money I spent on the actual room. So I'm gonna call that a win. Yeah, so thanks for watching. If you're still here, to kind of give you an idea of some of the stuff I'm planning on doing on this channel, is I just bought this 1979 Ford Bronco Ranger XLT. It's a pretty sweet car. I'm planning on putting some like a lot of love into it because it kind of needs it. But I got a good deal, so I have like enough, financial breathing room to like kind of really go crazy with it. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, I'm gonna do like a resto mod. I'm not really gonna do a purist restoration. I'm gonna do like kind of like a modernization of it. This is gonna be coming up once I finish up my workshop. If I get enough audience for like the car stuff, I also have a 2020 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon and a 1984 Land Rover Defender 110. So I could also do other car stuff once this bad boy's in a place that I'm happy with. That being said, I'm also planning on doing a bunch of like 3D printing stuff, machining stuff, fabrication stuff, programming stuff. I've got a custom PC that I designed that I'm planning to build. That's coming up because my MacBook has been eating turf lately. So it's kind of going to be like hopefully like a lot of things, like a large variety of stuff that I'm going to kind of engage in. So I mean, like I'm just going to feel it out and see like, what people like, what they don't, and we'll go from there.